Okay, first of all, let me show you my office. Okay.
Oh,
See
man.
In fly fishing, you're not a real fly fisherman until you have at least 12 pulls.
Okay.
And
I haven't ventured out into fly fishing yet. I'm still, I just barely graduated to a bait caster.
well, you'll find out you need at least 10 poles and reels, depending upon what you're doing.
I have 3 right now. And I just barely started catching fish. I caught a big sea donkey last weekend fishing the North Jetty.
You caught a what?
A sea donkey, a black drum.
Oh, yeah. Nice. How big was it?
Oh, I don't know. It was probably a good.
How big was it? Uh-oh, internet problem. You're cutting out. How big was it?
I don't know. It was probably about 20 some odd pounds.
Nice. All right, we'll start with northern Texas. Okay, these are, I think, one of the only jetties I have fished is the Port Arthur. Oh, that's right. I do need to hit the share button. Go ahead.
Okay. I know where we're at.
This is Port Arthur.
Okay.
Yeah, your voice is cutting out quite a bit.
It's all right. Now that's near Anahuac.
So I haven't fished up much. No, Anahuac is northern Galveston County. This is the Texas-Louisiana border. So we're going to start.
Okay.
We're going to start at the north and work south.
Okay.
Then to Sangamon Park, it got torn up pretty badly during Rita. It was shut down for a long time. There's some back lakes in here, but most people fish Sabine Lake. And this is the largest flounder in the state are found in Sabine Lake.
Okay.
And then if you want to keep going into Louisiana, Lake Calcasieu is a big place to go fish.
My
big trout lake.
Like kayak fishing at Port O'Shane Pack. I don't know. I've never been there, but he always wants to take me over to. He's always trying to take me over to Pack, Port O'Shane, near Venice.
Oh yeah. So you get down on the Delta. So I fished. Let me see. Homa. I fished. Where's Homa?
Oh, there to the right. Yeah. Right south of Thibodeau.
I fished in this area with a guy once I used to work with.
Okay.
There it is. Yeah, we fished down in these markets.
Okay.
And it's great fishing, just a lot of. But yeah, so there's a place off of Venice out here in the Gulf they call the Hump. And this time of the year is when the big tuna come in.
Oh, wow.
A different guy that I worked with was out fishing and caught 194-pound yellowfin tuna.
Wow.
That's a lot of sushi.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to, right, so here's Sabine Lake. This beach is pretty remote. It's pretty easy to run. And you can come in at High Island, which is right here.
Okay.
And so I've driven the beach all the way up here to High Island, but we never got past High Island because the road, it used to be an asphalt road, and it's washed out. It's completely washed out. So the beach is covered with asphalt. It was really, really bumpy. So we didn't go further out. That's one of my goals, is to drive this beach next fall, because the fish, what's the slabs? The redfish will school up on the beach during spawning season. And I've heard stories from guys, my fishing buddies at church, that the surf looks red because the schools of bull reds are in the surf.
Wow. So,
but you got to be pretty serious to drive this beach. You got to know what you're doing. You got to have 4-wheel drive. And
I do.
What do you have?
I have a Nissan Titan Pro 4X.
Okay. Yeah, I run a Jeep Wrangler.
Okay.
So running Bolivar, haven't done a lot of fishing on Bolivar, except for what's called Bolivar Pocket,
Okay.
which is this area right here. So this is the North Jetty. This is
Uh-huh.
called the Bolivar Pocket area.
Okay.
And my wife and I like to just beach comb. This is a great beach combing area. But
Okay.
there are lakes back in here where the redfish get into it. And you can only drive to about right here because this is a bird sanctuary.
Okay.
We ran into a guy who was at University of Texas down in Galveston. He's a biologist. He said you walk in here and you get in these back lakes and there's redfish trapped back in here and you can kill a redfish.
Okay. Now I got a fish skiff. My buddy gave me a Sea Eagle fish skiff 16. It's an inflatable, and I just bought a Tohatsu 9.8 outboard motor that I'm going to be using to kind of go fish the flats, basically, and kind of like this.
This is not the place to take that. This is a walk-in. This is something you can do just in an afternoon. Take the ferry over at lunch and noon, come in here. Me and one of my
waders.
Yeah.
Do I need waders? Okay. Do you have a recommendation on a good set of waders? Because I haven't purchased waders because my buddy, my good friend, one of my best friends has been showing me the ropes, but I like to venture out and get
Sure. So Sims in the fly fishing industry is top of the line stuff. They're expensive, but they're great technology and very reliable. So
okay.
I have some Sims waders.
Sims. Okay, I'm gonna look it up right now. Can I get it on Amazon?
Yeah, but you need to go size it. So I'd recommend you go to one of the fly shops. You go to Bayou City Angler and they carry Sims.
Bayou City Angler. What about Fishing Tackle Unlimited?
Yeah, they'll have them too. Okay. One of those is good. Okay, so some of the other places we fished on Bolivar, like the Fly Fishing Club, we just had a couple months ago. We had a trip to where we came in. Where did we launch? We launched here at Stingray.
Okay, Stingeries. Okay, my friend's been telling me about that place. Says it's a great place when we have a boat to just go take a lunch break.
But yeah, so we kayaked all back in here.
Okay.
And I also, because I have a sail kayak, I kayaked back into here. And I'm going to tell you one of the secret spots. See this right here?
Yeah.
This area was just loaded with flounder. 3 of us were fishing this. We probably caught 12, 15 flounder.
Some doormats?
Just in this area right here.
Some doormats?
Nothing big. I didn't catch anything big.
Okay.
No, not any really big ones.
Okay.
A lot of flounder.
All right.
And all these back lakes in here. They're really shallow. You got to have a kayak to get back into them.
Okay.
So all of this area. And then, yeah, if you have a boat, then you can get back into East Bay. And there's lots of places in East Bay to fish. Up in this area is good. I had another buddy from church. He went up here into Yates Bayou. Mike Russo. Up in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And he just nailed 25+ inch redfish one day.
Wow. Okay.
All these marshes, flats back in here, if you can get back in here, it can all be good redfish fishing. And then there's a reef out in this area. Your fishing map will show it. That's one of the big trout areas out in East Bay.
Okay. So that's East Bay.
Yep. And then I've fished this in a kayak. Trinity Bay up here could be good. Anahuac, this area, if there's not too much fresh water coming in. You have to check the salinity.
Yeah, that's what
coming in Trinity. But yeah, I got a buddy from church whose brother-in-law has a place up here, and they go kill the trout on Trinity Bay.
Okay.
Then there's the Kemah area. So these are called the Kemah Flats.
Okay.
I have another buddy. He used to work with my dad at NASA. He used to live out here. This guy was nuts. He was crazy. He was a little big guy, like 5'4" skinny guy. He would get out here in his float tube at night. Float tube at night.
Okay.
Float tube with your feet down in the water at night when the sharks are out.
Yeah.
And he would fish these docks.
Wow.
And catch trout up to 8 to 10 pounds.
Wow.
but it's fly fishing and it's stealth fishing. Those big trout are so sensitive. You make any noise, any splash, and they're gone. That's why he's in a float tube. So they could be very
So he's fishing
but
top.
you could, if you were careful, you could do it in a kayak. Well, that's the camouflage. No, he's fishing down near the bottom.
Okay, drop shot type stuff, or
he's using weighted flies
okay,
that sink, and he's going down along the structure because a trout. Okay, so you look at a fish, you look at their mouths.
yeah,
A drum and a redfish, their mouths open down.
yeah.
Okay? So they're on the bottom, shrimp and crabs and
Digging, burrowing, sort of.
Yeah. And especially drum. If you're waiting on a flat and you see these big pockets, that's a drum going down eating worms.
Okay.
In the mud. A trout, their mouths open up.
Okay.
So they're feeding up. They feed primarily on bait fish.
Okay.
But redfish will hit a topwater. I love catching redfish on topwater because they have to come up and their head comes completely out of the water when they hit the fly on the top.
Yeah.
But trout, so big trout sit right on the bottom, so you want to get down low to them. You want to put it right on their nose. And that's what he was doing. Okay, then, so that's Morgan's Point here. There's some reefs. This is the ship channel. There are some reefs out here. You really can't see them.
Yeah.
Here off of Morgan's Point, sailing on. There's some great fishing there during different times of the year. But if you're a boat, you got to be careful of the big tankers. If you see a tanker and it's low in the water, that means it's going to push a lot of water out, and you can get some big waves when they hit these reefs over here.
Yeah.
I used to have some buddies in high school. The surf was flat in Galveston. They'd go surf the waves off of these banks when the big tankers went by. Yeah. So my dad bent an anchor. He was out here one day and a big wave came up and it turned his boat sideways, almost tipped his boat over and bent his anchor.
Wow. Okay.
All right. Then you get to the Texas City Dike. This is a great place to go fishing at night.
I've done it.
So you know the dike?
Yeah. Didn't have much luck there, but I've done it.
So you go out there, you fish all night, and you'll catch 100 14.5-inch trout.
Okay.
As you know, keeper is 15.
Okay.
In the fall, Seawolf Park right here.
I've done that.
Great
Seawolf, but I lost a lot of popping corks on the rocks there. So.
Yeah, flounder, big time flounder. Fishing around Pelican Island is always good kayaking. Offutt's Bayou, this is a really deep area. My dad caught like a 26-inch trout in the wintertime in Offutt's Bayou here.
Yeah.
Then, on an incoming tide, there's lots of little reefs through here and lots of grass too.
Okay.
So this area is really good on an incoming tide. And then you get into any of these bays back here and you can get into fish. Galveston Park is a nice place, but because there's so many people out there, we did a kayaking trip with the Fly Fishing Club and we launched here in Oyster Bayou. And there were probably 15 kayaks in this area. It was like full contact kayak fishing. There were so many people out here.
Okay.
But that's a good place. Then
how about
if you
go north across the bay? My friend was telling me they had some lakes just over there, just right there, right in there, like Greens Lake.
Greens Lakes is a popular place to go. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this.
And I was actually looking at buying some property in Harbor Walk, but I don't know much about it, and I don't want to. I need to do a lot more research.
What, down in here?
Yeah, right down in there, just getting a place where the boat slip. Right, they have a marina, and it's right off the intercoastal. And lots aren't terribly expensive, but I don't know what the community fees and HOAs are. But it seems like a good location. I mean, Tiki Island, but I really like what they're doing in Harbor Walk. I don't know much about it. If you know anybody.
No, I know people who live in Tiki Island. One of my Halliburton guys who is no longer there in Tiki Island, and people who have lived in Bayou Vista too.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's good fish around here, especially in the wintertime when you have a north wind. If there's a south wind, it's going to be pretty muddy back in here. So most of the summer.
North wind, does that mean the wind is blowing from the north?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. Okay.
So wind's blowing from the north, so all the waves are going to be hitting on this side. Winds from the south, all the waves build up and make the north side muddy.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Galveston Island Park. Then it's not on this map, but there's a place called, it'll be on your fishing map, called Snake Island.
Okay.
Well, there it is. So you can get into fish back in here, but fishing on the weekend in Galveston is full combat fishing. There's so many boats out there. It's just so crowded.
Okay.
So most people that I know don't fish on the weekends in Galveston. They'll only go during the weekend, even then it's crowded. But yeah, I've gotten into some nice trout around Snake Island. Launch here and kayak to Snake Island and fish. And especially in the summertime when the wind lays down, you get green water in the bay. It can be some nice fishing. So any of these areas along in here are good. Then you get all the way down to San Luis Pass. This is one of the most dangerous places on the Texas coast because when the tide changes, you'll have standing waves of 4 to 6 feet right here. There's just so much water being funneled through this channel. I was in my kayak here fishing along the bridge and I almost got sucked out into the bay. Out into the Gulf. I had to paddle like hell to beat the current. It changed on me really fast. So be careful.
Yeah. I've heard people drown. That sounds like
yeah, more people drown in this area right here than probably any place else on the Texas coast.
Okay.
Because what they do is they wade fish out here because it's real deep and a lot of fish come through here.
Strong.
They wade out here and the tide changes and they'll get out here on a sandbar. And the tide changes and the water comes through and it washes out behind them.
Uh-huh.
Now the water's over their head, and to get back, they have to swim, and then they get sucked out into the Gulf and they drown.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I've been down there when the police were searching for bodies. Okay, you get to San Luis County Park. This is a great place to launch. You can get into Cold Pass, which gets back into Christmas Bay. You can also head up here to Bird Island. You see all these big channels? These hold fish, but that's how strong the current is coming into San Luis Pass. We're fishing for Bird Island, and there's some good places along this shoreline. We've got mud cut right here. I was fishing right along in here. This is, on a Saturday. There's a lot of marshes in here. I was fishing right along here in my kayak. I hooked this little redfish, and by the time I landed it, some guy in a boat drove up, and he was like 75 feet from over here, and another boat drove up and parked right here. He's like 100 feet from me. As soon as you catch a fish, people start hoarding around you.
Pot lickers?
It's awful.
Call them pot
lickers? Yes, big time.
Yeah.
So then you get into Cold Pass, and some of these channels will hold fish. I fished all in this area before. I haven't caught a lot through here, but there could be a lot of flounder up in here, Christmas Point, and you get up here into Bastrop Bay, and a lot of people like to fish at Bastrop Bay. And you also get all the way up into Chocolate Bayou, which is up here.
Okay.
This is Chocolate Bayou coming here. So some people launch at the 2004 bridge and fish this area. But you see this right here? There are some nasty oyster reefs in here, so you got to be really careful with your boat.
Yeah.
Take your transom off. But I know a lot of people who love to fish Chocolate Bayou, Chocolate Bay. And they also, a lot of flounder here at the mouth of Halls Lake.
Okay.
People fish there. Let's see.
I feel like I discovered fishing so late that I have so much catching up to do, but I love it. I love this whole learning all over again. Like everything is new to me right now, and I love learning. So it's like I'm constantly getting to learn.
See that? That's my fly tying desk.
That's your fly desk? You rig your own flies?
And my fly tying desk. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've got hundreds, if not thousands, of things for fly tying.
I'll tell you right now.
No. I screened this one out.
When I graduate to fly fishing and take up fly fishing, I know who I'm going to. I'm going to be blowing up your phone with so many questions.
All right, where did? Hold on a second. The screen's got messed up. Okay. I was trying to find a secret winter fishing place. Let's see where it is. It's back up this way.
Are you still sharing?
Yes. Um,
There you go.
okay. The San Luis Pass, Bass Rock, Chocolate. Okay, here's my favorite place to go kayaking. This is Christmas Bay. It's a very shallow bay.
Uh-huh.
You can almost wade across it. There is the old intercoastal goes right down through the middle of it.
Uh-huh.
There's two places to launch here. You can launch here. There's a ramp there, so you can launch your boat.
Oh yeah, that's the free one, the TPWD, Texas Parks and Wildlife.
And there's a place here to launch too. I think you may have to pay. No, we launch our kayaks from over here.
Okay.
And then this is all marsh on the southern shore. There are some areas on the north shore where you get the troughs. When the waves hit, they'll build out troughs. And if there's a light north wind, the fish and the water clears up, you can get into some nice fishing up on the north shore.
Okay.
One of the best places to fish, but again, you have to be really careful because there's lots of oyster reefs right out in here. Lots and lots of them. These are all oyster reefs. But that old intercoastal canal comes right down through here. This is Rattlesnake Point.
Okay.
So this whole area up in here, especially in the wintertime, can be decent. Then you get into Drum Bay. I've never fished Drum Bay. It seems like it's always muddy, but I've seen people who fish out in here. And then there's these lakes. So this is one of the wildlife refuges. This is the Brazoria Wildlife Refuge.
Okay.
And I've launched kayaks from here, get into Salt Lake. But in the wintertime, there's these two channels through here. When it gets cold, the fish go down into these deep channels. And again, I had another buddy from church who had a guide. They sat right in this channel and limited out on reds, big reds. It was just stacked full of reds. So fish that area. Oh, here it is. This is what I was looking for. Okay, here's the old intercoastal canal right here. Again, this is a little deep area. What happens in the wintertime when it gets cold, the fish will stack up in this little channel right here.
Okay.
It's very wide, but you can, I had another buddy from church who had a guide. They limited out on trout just fishing this channel one day. Ooh, hear that thunder? Nasty storms going through. Okay, then we get down to Surfside. Not a lot going on there. But the Surfside jetties are good. I fish Surfside jetties quite a bit. You can get into some good stuff there occasionally, especially when the green water comes in. This is the Brazos River coming in here. So if you go down to Sargent's, so you drive down the road, and then where the road ends, this section of the road is really nasty.
Okay.
I mean, when it rains, it's like jar your kidneys and your fillings fall out. It's so rough. So what you want to do is, as soon as you can, you jump over to the beach. But the problem is, see these little dots right here?
Yeah.
Those are granite. They put a whole bunch of granite down to keep the island from washing away. And getting over the granite can be tricky. And then a lot of times it's deep right here. And it's really, I've pulled out pickup trucks with my Jeep getting stuck in the mud in some of these places.
Okay.
This beach is also notorious. You can see it here for having a lot of debris on it that comes off the Brazos River.
Okay.
So most of the time, people will bring chainsaws out and they'll move the debris. But by the time you get down, you can drive up in here, but again, it's pretty bumpy. If you can get out on the beach, but you have to be careful on this beach too. There are places where, because there's a lot of clay. This is the only place I've seen a lot of clay. There'll be clay on the beach and you can get stuck in that stuff really easily. So avoid the clay when you're driving on the beach. But what's nice about this beach is, if you're willing to take the drive down there, is sometimes Cedar Lake is open.
Okay.
So these are very shallow, a lot of oysters back in here. not too many people go back here in boats, but I've been back here in kayaks several times. And especially in this area here, there'll be flounder and trout back up. But if you get out in here really shallow, these are all oyster reefs back in here. That's
Okay.
really nasty stuff. So this closed in during the drought, but opened back up when Harvey hit.
Okay.
It's slowly closing up. Last time I was down there, during low tide, you could drive across it no problem.
Okay.
And that allows you to get further down the beach because there's another small break right here at the San Bernard. I think there's another one down over here. But the San Bernard had closed in for a while.
Okay.
And with Harvey, it opened back up. And so you can get, if you have a kayak, because we take our kayaks down the beach, you can get back up in here and do some fishing along the San Bernard. And when San Bernard was closed up, one time I took my Jeep all the way out to here.
Okay.
And you can't drive any further past this. This is a steep bank, but I came so close to getting stuck. The sand is really, really deep in here. It looks like there was a break here too for a while. So you can't get down to that one. Unless the San Bernard is closed up. Okay, so that's Sargent. Okay, what you can also do is, done this before, is launch the kayaks right in here, run down the intercoastal, come down through this area, and now you're in East Matagorda.
Okay.
And this area here is pretty shallow. I've seen it at low tide where this area, you can't even get through here, so shallow. So a lot of people just go down there. They launch boats there at Caney Creek and then drive down the intercoastal and get into this really shallow area. This is kind of muddy back in here, but it gets better. It gets sandy in here. So I've taken kayaks all the way down to here and fished in this area. We go in the wintertime, we have a sheephead tournament. You catch a bunch of sheephead up in here, but have not fished East Matagorda very much. A lot of people fish it. There's some reefs out here and back in here. People catch a lot of trout in them. And then the marshes, would be a lot of flounder and redfish back up in these marshes. And there are places here to launch in kayaks. So a lot of people launch kayaks and then get into East Matagorda in the kayaks and fish this area in the kayaks. And I haven't fished this area over here.
Okay.
And then this is the Colorado River bypass. This is the Colorado River going out.
Okay.
Of the Matagorda jetties. And it's pretty amazing. This area has filled in with sand to where the sand is almost at the end of the jetty. The sand used to be 15, 20 years ago, the sand used to be back in here. So all this area is filled up.
Okay.
This pier used to be pretty good fishing, and the jetty used to be really good fishing, but now it's not so good because it's sanded in.
Okay.
I was on a project at South Texas Nuclear Project. I was staying in a condo over in here. So, oh yeah, you can drive down the beach to 3 Mile Cut, and you can walk in or get your kayak and then get in here also. And we've driven, me and my boys when they were young, we used to come down here and drive with 20 miles down the beach all the way to Caney Creek Cut.
Wow.
There's some fishing at the Caney Creek Cut. So this will line up with people on both sides here. We'll line up with people fishing Caney Creek Cut.
Okay.
We're hooking some nice fish there. Seen some big reds out there too. Okay, then you get into Matagorda. And I haven't fished this area. Where I have fished a lot is Port O'Connor. Love Port O'Connor.
Okay.
So you got Powderhorn Lake. Some of my buddies were fishing there 2 weekends ago. They didn't catch anything because the weather was nasty. But all this area through here is good fishing. There's a lot of water that comes through this break up and through here, a lot. And
Okay.
then we did a camping trip one time here at the Port O'Connor jetty. So we camped right here. And this is a really tough jetty to walk. It's the second toughest jetty to walk behind the Port Mansfield jetty. And sometimes the waves are really, really big for here. And the end of this jetty right here, when we fished it, it was amazing. The water was coming in here so fast, but there was this huge whirlpool right here. Huge.
What is it? What was it?
A whirlpool.
A whirlpool. Okay.
Huge whirlpool. If you had been out there swimming, you would have been sucked under and drowned in a heartbeat. So yeah, be careful in this one because this is a fairly narrow pass. See, it gets kind of narrow. And a lot of water moves through here. But there's a lot of good fishing along this shoreline, the south shoreline. It's real sandy. And you can get into the trout and the reds there. We were camping right in here. And I got woken up in the morning because there were a bunch of dolphin, porpoise in here, slapping the water with their tails. They'll go head down and it'll slap the water with their tails to scare the trout. And they'll chase the trout up in here and eat them.
Okay.
First time I've been woken up by a porpoise. Right. And then some of my favorite places to fish are on this south shore here. So Texas Parks and Wildlife used to have a ferry that you could take your kayaks out, and they had a bunkhouse out here where you could stay. And the bunkhouse got destroyed during Harvey, got damaged. So they closed this park down. They used to have restrooms, and it was a really nice place to go. And now all you can do is camp. So you have to go out there and rough it. And the mosquitoes can get so bad. But what we used to do, this shoreline is good. Back in here, Lighthouse Cove, this is all good. Fish Pond, this is all good fishing. But we used to take our kayaks. This is called Army Hole right here. This is a deep little hole. And I've seen some really big redfish in here. But we get our kayaks coming through here. This is all super shallow. But this bay, Pringle Lake, this lake, it can be crystal clear, like gin clear at times. And it's full of grass. And I've seen hundreds of redfish back in here.
Okay.
And then you can get into Conti Lake. And let's see where, this area right here, a lot of water comes through this little pass. In this area in Conti Lake, I was out there with a guide one time. We just killed we saw a school of redfish that had between 50 and 100 fish in it.
Wow.
Moving up Conti Lake. And then you get into South Pass Lake and Long Lake. All this area is just really good fishing. And where is it? All this area over here, and we're now in San Antonio Bay. Sea drift, a lot of people like to fish sea drift. And then all these lakes back in here. Fish those. Got a buddy from church who's got a place on Copano Bay. He lives in Copano Village. So Copano Bay is good. His house is like right here.
Okay.
The mouth of Salt Lake. I sat on his pier one night. His pier got damaged during party. So we were on his pier one night through here with a light on. I caught over 40 little trout on my fly rod.
Nice.
So you can fish the lights along here at night. Here's Goose Island State Park. This area is good to fish. We camped out at Goose Island State Park. There's a pier that goes out here and it's lit. And you can catch barrels full of little trout off this pier. And one of the kayaking trips I want to do is to go ahead and launch here and take our sail kayaks and get back into here.
Okay.
Because this used to be Cedar Cut. When we opened this up, this was closed back in the, 60s or 70s. They purposely closed it, and there's been several attempts to open it back up to get water back into this part of the bay. And when it was open, it was tremendous fishing in the surf. I mean, we just slaughtered the trout. We even caught some Spanish smack in the surf here. But it's closed up now. It's closed up about right here. So you can still come in here and park and then walk across. It's quite a bit of a hike. Walk across and get into the surf and fish the surf.
Okay.
But yeah, there's good fishing all in here. And let's see, where is, so this area all back in here is good. We take a boat out of Rockport with our kayaks and get back in here to a place called Finch Lake and fishing here. And again, weekends there could be a lot of boats out here coming out of Rockport, but this could be some tremendous fishing. So I got a buddy my buddy from Copano, he has a place on Copano. He knows this area like the back of his hand.
Okay.
Let's see. He knows all these back lakes. So he takes me out here and we get into these back lakes and just kill the redfish. And I was with him one day, we caught a 26-inch trout. I have the pictures of that. So all this area is just great fishing. Okay, then you get down to Port Aransas. So Redfish Bay can be good. Now, if you're a kayaker, this is called the Lighthouse Lake Trails. This whole area is mangroves and shallow water, and the redfish get back up in here. This is all grass. And the lighthouse is, where's the lighthouse? Yeah, here's the lighthouse. And these passes that come out here, a lot of water comes to those. Fish will stack up here. If you can get back in here, depending upon how deep kayaks, we can get all back in here. Boats you usually can't. But these breaks like this at the mouths of them, you can get in some good fish. And this is called Lighthouse Lakes Trail because Texas Parks and Wildlife has put markers all through here with GPS, and you can get in your kayak and travel all the way back in through here. And it's good to have a GPS because you can get back in these mangroves, and they're tall enough that you can't see over them. You can get lost back in here.
Okay.
People have gotten lost back in these lighthouse lakes. Okay, then you get Port Aransas. Port Aransas jetties are great fishing. Several times over the years, my buddies and I, because there's a place over here that will take you, a little ferry will take you over to St. Joseph's Island. This is St. Joseph's Island. And we would go out during the full moon in June and July and spend the night on the jetty and go tarpon fishing.
Wow.
So in June, the tarpon starts. Yeah, you see this? Look at all these boats out here. This picture.
Tarpon are really hard to catch.
Oh, it's almost impossible to land a big tarpon off a jetty. Usually you just jump them.
Okay.
But yeah, I know these rocks very well. I know exactly which rock to stand on over here and here and here and here to go fly fishing because we spent the night out there several times. I hooked into something really big on my fly rod and I couldn't control it, but I didn't have it hooked well and it ran. And as soon as it turned, the hook pulled out. It was probably a big jack or a big red. Okay, so that's Port A. And this is called Brown and Root Flats because Brown and Root used to have a big manufacturing. They still build rigs over here.
Okay.
But this is Brown and Root Flats. Shallow, the water can be crystal clear. See all this grass back in here? I just took in some nice redfish in my kayak going back in here. All the way back over to this channel, fishing this area too. So the Brown and Root Flats is one of the best kayaking places. So what we do is we launch right here. You can park all in here, and there's this little channel you can bring your kayak in. That's loaded with oyster reefs right here. So at low tide, it's really hard to get there. You have to walk through the oysters, so you have to have good boots. But then you can get out into here and just look at all this grass. It's just beautiful, gem clear water most of the time. So that's one of my favorite places to go on the Texas coast in my kayak is Brown and Root Flats. You can also get over here and lots of grass. And depending on which way the wind's blowing, this can do some really good fishing too.
Okay.
All right. Then you get into Corpus. I haven't fished this area before, but then you get into Laguna Madre. So this is Corpus Christi. Now you get in, this is Laguna Madre starting right here. So one of my favorite things to do in the whole world is to come to Corpus and drive down to Padre Island National Seashore. And this is called, I think it's Malachi. This is the ranger station. And you can get on the beach right here. And you have 60 miles, the longest undeveloped beach in the world. 60 miles of beach to go fish. All the way down to the Port Mansfield Jetty. One of my most favorite places to go. That's the Port Mansfield Jetty.
Okay.
All right, so driving on Padre Island National Sea is one of the most dangerous things to do. if you don't know what you're doing.
Okay.
So I was looking for big shell. Saw it up here earlier. Okay, here's big shell. So there's two places on the beach where currents from the Gulf come in and hit the beach directly. One of them is big shell, and right up in here is called little shell. So the current's not so strong at little shell, but what it does is it drops small pieces of shell onto the beach, which means the beach can't compact, which means the sand is very loose, which means if you don't have four-wheel drive, you are going to get stuck.
Okay.
And the sand at big shell can be 3 feet deep.
Wow.
Loose sand, 3 feet deep. And you have to have good four-wheel drive. Now, because of the debris on the beach, there are things like boards with nails in them. So it's easy to get flats.
Okay.
So you take a high lift jack, you take an attachment for your high lift jack that will raise your tire up. So if you get stuck, you can raise the tire up and fill underneath it. The only time I've been stuck, I used to have a four-wheel drive F-150 pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
Sand was so deep and so loose that where people drive, it forms really deep ruts. I got my rear differential high centered and had to go dig out my rear differential to get unstuck. But lots of people get stuck out here. But the fishing can be tremendous out here. There's a little shell. Okay. There's also a place called Yarborough Pass, and there's mile marker. There's poles every 5 miles, so you know how far down the beach you are. So at mile marker 15 is Yarborough Pass. Let me see, I should be able to see this. That's not it. Okay, here's Yarborough Pass. There's a pass through the sand, but depending upon which way the wind's blowing, the sand can be very, very deep.
Okay.
This used to be messed up and you couldn't get back here. They have fixed this road. It's bumpy in places, but you can get back here and there's a boat ramp. So people with large four-wheel drive pickup trucks pull their boats all the way to here and launch their boat. There's a boat launch right there.
Okay.
But you can also camp out here. So one of the trips the Fly Fishing Club has this summer is to come out here and camp, because you can get your kayak out here and you're in Luna Madre.
So wait, you belong
and
to
this
a
is
fly
just
fishing
great
club?
fishing all through here. See all these sand.
You belong to a fly fishing club?
Yeah, Texas Fly Fisher.
Texas Fly Fishing. Okay.
Yeah, go to texasflyfishers.org. It's a local club. So, okay. So here's fly fishing. There's an international organization called Fly Fishers International.
Okay.
There's a worldwide organization, and it's headquartered in Livingston, Montana. Then across the U.S. and different countries, you have what are called councils. We call them councils.
Okay.
So Texas has its own council. So there's a Texas Council of Fly Fishers International. I'm the fly tying director for the Texas Council of Fly Fishers International. So I write articles, we have newsletters, I coordinate activities across the state for fly fishing events. Okay. I'm also a certified fly casting instructor for Fly Fishers International.
You never cease to amaze me, Ron. You never cease to amaze me.
There's only about 1,200 of us in North America. This is a very strenuous certification. The two most difficult certifications I've been through was the old OEA certification and my fly casting certification. They were most difficult certifications I've had. It's really tough to become a fly casting. I'm also what's called a royalty tyer for Umpqua. Umpqua is the largest producer of flies in the world. This is a really neat company. They're headquartered in Colorado now. So if you go to flies and go to, let's see, saltwater flats fishing, and scroll down to, I'll just search for it. Let's see, is there a search?
Is that your fly right there, Ron? by Ron Mayfield.
Yeah, so you can go to Fishing Tackle Unlimited, Bayou City Angler, and you can go buy my fly. Please do, because I get a couple of pennies of royalty every time you buy one.
That's amazing.
And this is, I think it's the best mullet pattern in the world. Not that I'm biased or anything. So I'm called a signature tire. Let me go back to.
That's amazing.
I'm a signature tire, so I know most of these guys. I'm one of the signature tires, or Umpqua.
This is about as impressive as I don't know if you remember Paul Ross and how he's a world champion Elvis impersonator.
No, I didn't know that. That's pretty funny.
You know, my Oracle colleagues are such an impressive group of people. That's
why it's so fun to work here. Yeah, you find all sorts of characters.
Yeah.
Let's see, what time is it? Yeah, I need to get going here pretty soon. So, okay, here's Yarborough Pass. So you can get over here and get into Laguna Madre. And what's fun about fishing this area, if you can get into this area where there's sand, you can wade. The redfish will chase bait fish up on these sand flats and sight casting to them. Redfish. Okay,
yeah. I have a buddy who does that. He goes kayak fishing and he's always sight fishing reds.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun to sight cast a redfish. Okay, so you've got all this beach to fish, all the way down. So look at all this area. This is just can be full of fish.
Sure.
And you get further down here. Oh, here's the other reason. Oh, I forgot about this. Here's the other reason Yarborough Pass is so much fun. It's because it's right across from Baffin Bay.
Baffin Bay. Okay.
So Baffin Bay is the place to go. It is the place to go to catch monster trout.
Okay.
More 10-pound trout are caught in Baffin Bay than any place else on the Texas coast.
Okay.
But there are a lot of reefs in here. So you have to know where you're going, or you can take your transom off. And there is a Baffin Bay gun and rod. Baffin Bay. I think it's gun and rod. Okay, here it is.
Okay.
So I know the owner. Her name's Sally Black. She's an old buddy of mine, and she owns this. Her husband just recently passed away. Unfortunately, died of a heart attack. But this is a great place to go. I don't know. Do you bird hunt?
I haven't, but I have a shotgun for it. I just haven't got to use it yet. I'm still earning my Texas credentials.
This is Sally. This is what they catch in Baffin Bay. Just monster trout.
That's
so I haven't been down to visit her yet to go down there and stay, but I'm planning on doing that because it's a nice spot. What?
Take me with you.
Okay, we'll see about. It's not cheap.
All right.
To go down to.
Okay, well, I would do a time check. I don't know if you have to run to another call.
I don't. I'm supposed to be working on a Rogers deliverable though.
Okay.
I'm like a week. Okay, so here's Port Mansfield, and you can get guides out of Port Mansfield. This is some of the best fishing in North America in this part of Laguna Madre. So if you really want to go someplace where the fishing's good and buy a place, that's way out of the way because there is nothing around Port Mansfield. I mean, look at this. This is the King Ranch all the way down in here. All this area. This is some of the, and you see here's Corpus, here's Kingsville. Between Kingsville and Harlingen, there's nothing. This is all King Ranch area.
Okay.
So you have to take this road out to Port Mansfield. You are out in the middle of nowhere. So if you want to get out of the rat race, Port Mansfield is a place to go.
Okay.
And I don't know what the name costs around here, but you can see there's a lot of people that live in here. So we used to have a guide. He used to have a trailer house out here someplace, and he would take us out fishing, and we would just slaughter the trout. We would limit out on trout. We were throwing 20, 22-inch trout back because we had trout bigger than that, limits of trout bigger than that. So Port Mansfield, all this area, he fished just all back in here.
Okay.
Just great fish. And then you get to Aurora City. And this is the only water source for Laguna Madre, which is why Laguna Madre is a hypersaline bay.
Okay.
Very, very salty. This is the only influx. So I used to know a guy who had a house here, and he was a guide. And you could stay at his lodge, and he would take you down to Aurora, Colorado. And the fishing out here in these flats can be just tremendous.
Okay. Well, hey, Ron, I appreciate you giving me this full tour of the.
Oh, we're not done. We're almost done. Okay, now you get down to Port Isabel, and you can cross over here, and this is Spring Break Central.
Okay.
We made a mistake one time of going down here not knowing it was spring break, and the place was a zoo. But caught some really nice fish back in these channels. And then they have these lakes back in here, fished with a guide back in these lakes. And this is Boca Chia, where SpaceX is launching.
Okay.
Right there. So we've got Boca Chia State Park. I've not been south of, this is the Port Isabel Channel. And I have been with a guide. The best snook fishing in Texas is right in here.
Okay.
Hooked into, but I didn't land a 30+ inch snook. So
Okay.
Great, fantastic snook fishing. And there's snook fishing down at the jetties too. So I have fished the Port Isabel jetties. There was a guy I met one time. He landed about 150-pound tarpon off of this jetty one time.
Wow.
Took 3 people to land it, but he got it in.
Wow.
So yeah, you can catch king mackerel off the end of this jetty when the blue water's in. So great fishing here. Okay, that's it. We're done.
I am so glad I recorded this.
That's the whole Texas. I haven't been all the way down to here yet.
You should do one of these.
This is the.
You should do one of these fishing talks with Ron Mayfield on Zoom for your Texas Council of Fly Fishermen's International.
There's so much stuff out there, out on the web nowadays. If you go just search on fly tying,
I know, but I mean, this was great, and honestly, it's not like you got to do much production. You just get on Zoom and start talking, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people would appreciate this.
I know I've shared some secret places with you. I'm not willing to do that with the world, with everybody.
Okay.
That's the problem. There's so much fishing going on the Texas coast. It's getting crowded.
Yeah.
It's getting really crowded. This is the Rio Grande that comes right here. So this is the Texas-Mexico border. I've not been down over here yet to fish this beach. And I don't know, with SpaceX, they may have closed this beach, but you can't get down to the beach here.
Okay.
All right.
Well, hey, man, I really appreciate it. I will hit you up when as I progress. I'm definitely got the bug bad.
Sure.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yeah, let me know. Okay. Talk to you soon, I hope.
All right.
Oh, you're in Houston right now.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I am. All right. Take care, man.
You planning to stay?
Yes, sir. Houston is home.
Okay, good. All right. We'll talk soon.
All right. See ya. Bye-bye.